Okay. Well, let's take a look at some changes I've made to the program. Remember, we had an array of prefabs. Now, if I run this, maybe there it goes. Then you see they're going back and forth. So let's first take a look at that movement. I also changed the position so the our main camera would be on this side. Now remember to create our instances. I create a public game object, name a prefab. So that's a single game object. And that, since I made it public, I bring in from Unity. Okay, so I am. There's game object. That's the name of the prefab here. Now you see that there's an all GS here that has the size in it. That corresponds to this. Since it's an array, that's what these brackets indicate. You don't have the same concept where you can sit there and fill all those in, especially when you don't put a size there. All I can really tell you is what the current size of the array is. And then we have a rows, column, space, and then I put direction in there. We'll talk about that here shortly. Remember, we control this going from 0 to rows, -3 to columns. I put -3 because I wanted to control where it started off in terms of the X values. So I'm not only using this to create number of columns. That wouldn't be right. Okay, I want that still at 0. But then down here, I need to offset this by a -3. So I'm going to do x minus 3. Okay, so then 0 minus 3 times some space in between them. And let me put a 2 there. And attach to Unity. Let's stop that. And then I run this. Okay, that looks better. So now it looks like I do have 5 rows in 2 columns. And remember, you can control this. You can put 2 rows and 5 columns without going back and changing the original script. Like that. Okay, so this instantiate creates a new instance, and passing in this game object, so that prefab, and then down here, the new represents I'm creating just a new vector 3 from scratch, and based upon that. And that transform.rotation just goes with the default that's assigned to the prefab. Now down here, during the update, I want the characters to move. So notice that I have these referred to as aliens, and that's my tag. So if I come over here to my particular game object, oh no, to the werewolves down here, werewolf variant. So this one right here on this prefab, if I click open prefab, then over here you see a tag says alien. Again, how you create that is you do this drop down here, you click add tag, you click the plus here, and then you give it whatever name you want. That doesn't actually assign it. I have to go back to my werewolf variant and choose this drop down, and then choose whichever one. This is chose as alien. Now the werewolf is not actually on the screen at that point in time because we're creating instances of that prefab. So this find game objects with tag, that's what allows us to find everything with an alien, and it puts it into the array of our prefabs. Okay, so I'm looping through. I started at 0, and I go through less than the allgs.length. What this does is if I have, for example, I created a five columns, 2 rows, I have 10 werewolves in there. So this code will go through all the werewolves. As my game evolves and I start shooting and destroying those instances of those objects and they disappear from my screen, this will automatically adjust. So that size of that array will shrink down as I delete those game objects. For example, if I run this, I put the space bar as a fire. If I fire, you see it fires a bullet. If it hits one of my objects, then the object disappears. So this is automatically being adjusted each time. See over here we have all these different variants, and I'm wondering if I can see it here. Okay, right now there's 10. That's interesting. Oh, there. Did I not put a collider on the sphere? But you see how that's now going down. until it goes down to 0. So that's dynamically adjusted. The reason why it's dynamically adjusted, it's not hard-coded. I go out there and I look for all the game objects with the tag alien. Now, then down here, after I get a particular alien, I refer to that with this, the AllGS and then the bracket IX. That IX refers to the number of the werewolf, like my 0th werewolf, my 1st werewolf, 2nd werewolf, 3rd werewolf, all up to 1 less than my length. And then I do dot transform dot position and reassign that to position, and position is declared as a vector 3. You can also use the time element that we looked at to the delta before, where we assigned it to an empty to control this. And there'd be nothing wrong with that. And looking back on it, I probably should have, since we've gone past just assigning it here, use that. You get a little bit better realistic performance on that. Okay, so I assign that, then I change the X position. The X is going back and forth. And I'm adding 0.05 times direction. Direction is either going to be a positive 1 or negative 1, and that controls whether it's going left or right. Up here, initially, I declared direction up here at top, and in my start, I set it equal to negative 1. If I set it equal to positive 1, it'll be going in the opposite direction to begin with. And this right here, I've hard-coded. Might actually be better if that was controlled with a variable up here. Because then at that point, I no longer have it hard-coded in the program, and I can control how fast they go. You can have them go faster. And that's what I'm not sure if I think it's called Centipede or Millipede game. If I remember right, and I could have this wrong, but I think as you shoot more and more of them and it gets less and less, their speed increases. And we might play with that just to see what happens. Okay. So that's what that is. Let's go ahead and put a variable there. It's going to be a float. Public float alien speed. And then down here, alien speed. And then I'm checking. I'm hard coding these values in. So I'm checking the right position, left position to see if it's greater than 12 or less than negative 12. That means I want to turn around. I want to go back. And so I said go back to true. So I want to reverse direction. A little bit more to it than that. And then I assign the position of each one of the werewolves or aliens equal to that new position. Now this is relative to based upon where they're already at. So I take their current position, which is not the same for every alien, and I adjust it. Remember, up here is where we caused it to be at different locations. Okay, now if go back is true, okay, I said go back to false to begin with here. So if go back is true, then I'll loop through all my aliens, that same code. I want to retrieve the transform position, and I want to reduce the Y position by 0.1 in terms of floats. So I'm moving the aliens closer to me. That's what that's doing. And then here I just reassign position back to the transform position of each one. And even more than that, I change the direction. I say direction is equal to direction times -1. If it's equal to -1 originally, -1 times -1 is a +1. If it's a +1, 1 times -1 is a -1. So either way, it flips it and causes it to go the other direction. Let me attach the unity. You see now I got alien speed here. And I can put a 1 there. I got direction. Probably didn't need direction there originally, but you could set that if you want to. My program would override it because I set it equal to -1, I think, initially. So now if I run that, you see they're going quite a bit faster. Feel like they're going in the opposite direction, away from me this time. Maybe they always were, I just wasn't noticing it. Because I didn't change this at all. So I must want that to be a plus 0.1 F. Kind of slow, but it does look like they're getting closer. Pretty soon they'll be inside me. Or I'll be inside them, I guess. Oh no, I'm colliding with them. Does that make sense on the movement?
Yeah.
Okay. And I guess that's all for the particular instance. Now I dropped a bullet on there. And the bullet is right here. After I dropped it on there, I dragged it down here so I could make it a prefab. And then at that point, this became an instance of that. And I think that's a different color. I think that's blue up there. Now I didn't drop on a material on that, so let me create a material. I'll do a right click and create material. And nothing exciting, I'll just make it black. And it's black and metallic. I'm not sure if that actually does anything. Looks solid black. So now if I run it, it helps if I actually drop the material block on my bullet. Okay, I got my bullet there, drop the black material there. And now my bullet's black. Part of the problem is I can keep pressing my space bar over and over. And we're going to take a look at how to crack that. It's dizzying how fast that's going. So let me slow them down somewhat. Or speed it up. That was bizarre. $0.5. 0.05. Let's see. I don't think I understand that. If I put I had that, thought I had a 1 in there. Going back and forth. Okay. If I put in 0.5, that should be half as fast as 1. In terms of distance, not in terms of time. That's where we use that delta, we get better. Okay. I don't know what I had there originally. But I go with 0.25. Now our bullet. First off, I create a variable Boolean, means it's true or false, called alive. And what I should have done, it says live equaled false initially. Now that doesn't really mean anything. Reason why is where I put my bullet at is I'm sitting here on my main camera, which is 0510. And since I didn't want to create an instance of it and so forth, I didn't want to destroy it. My bullet, remember my camera is 0510. My bullet is at 0.3510. Camera's up at 5. Bullet is at 0.35. So where's the bullet at?
Right underneath you.
Right underneath you. So it's just sitting there waiting. It doesn't hurt anything for it to be there. It's just sitting there waiting. That's what, until this flag is set to true, it doesn't actually move. So that's why this doesn't really do much here. If it's not set to anything, or if it's set to equal to false, it's still not going to move. Now here's our update. And I create 2 vectors, the position and bullet position. And I got my game object G I've defined. Now the bullet position, I go out there and grab this .transform.position. Well, I'm sitting in the bullet, so this goes out and gets current bullet position and assigns it. If the user presses spacebar for fire, then I set G equal to the game object and I do a find on main camera. I don't do a find by tag or anything, I just do a find. When you're doing a find, that goes out and gets the actual name here. That's what it's looking for, main space camera. Part of the benefits of using tags is if you use tags consistently throughout your program, then you can rename these objects over and over and it won't mess up your program. If I rename main space camera here, it'll break the program. So tag kind of hides that from you. Then I got, let's see, position is equal to G.transform position. This retrieves the position of the camera. I then set the X and Z of the bullet to be the same as the camera. So this sets the X and Z positions of the bullet to be the same as the camera. I don't change Y because my camera's up here and my Y position just remains the same for my bullet. And you might say, well, why did you do that? Because the bullet had the same position except for the Y to begin with. It does, but this is so that if I fire my bullet again, my bullet may be way out yonder. So this sets it back. And part of the issue is if you go too far out, it may do weird things. And we'll talk about that. Because if I fire a bullet, if I click my bullet here, my current position is 0.35 and 10. And if I click in here, fire my bullet, you see how these values are changing. And Z is becoming smaller and smaller. Eventually, that will exceed the limits of the variable. Now, your game would probably end before that, because as you're going along, these characters are coming closer and closer. But really, after a certain position, you want to say the bullet's now available to be shot again. We don't want rapid fire bullets like this. I keep pressing a space bar over and over. And see how it resets it? So that's not very good design. But yet, if it goes too far, we want it to be available to fire. If I fire here, I don't want it to be able to fire again until it's gone past a certain distance. Okay. Then I set alive equal to true because I just fired a bullet. Now, if alive is true, then I want to take my Z position of the bullet and decrease it by 1. Again, that 1 you see there is the speed of your bullet. So if you want to have a separate public variable for that, you can set it to public, and then you can change that from right within Unity. And then this just takes your bullet position that you've been working with and sets it to the actual object. Okay, so that's what causes the bullet position to change. Now, I had to think about this. I originally started putting this in the wrong place. I think I was putting it over and on the camera. And the on collision should be on something that's being collided with. The camera wasn't being collided with. Doesn't matter what you put it on. You could put it on, like if you had two objects coming toward each other, you could put the on collision on the first one or on the second one. It'll work either way. But you can't put it on a third object that doesn't have anything to do with the collision, as far as I know. Maybe there's some code that allows you to do that. It's assigning, it's saying it's collision, and it's bringing in this information right here. Now I got my array of objects again, array of prefabs, I should say. Yeah, zip up my coat. It's getting cold. Maybe. There we go. No snow yet. I think they said it was going to start at 1. I don't know. They might be lying. So then down here I have vector 3 position. I go out here and I look for all the aliens that are still alive. That's what this gets. So if there's 5 aliens, it'll bring back an array of 5 prefabs, the instances of the prefab, I should say. This, again, loops through how many are out there. And it's checking the collision.gameObject if it's equal to that. The collision.gameObject is a name that's of what's coming in. And it's checking that against these instances. So if I collide with it, then I want to destroy that alien. So I destroy all GS IX, that particular alien, and I set alive equal to false. Because my bullet should now be inactive. Because I hit an alien, and I want to then not hit any other ones. Originally, I didn't have this set. I didn't have that in there, and it hit an alien, destroyed the alien, and then kept on going, and it would destroy a whole row of aliens. And if that's what you wanted, all you have to do here is comment out these lines of code here. Like that. And use of unassigned local variable. Okay, I didn't change anything. So all it's doing then is destroying the instance. So if I attach that, stop that. Now if I run it, press my space bar, and now it'll get rid of, assuming I could actually hit something, gets rid of the entire row. You notice that some of them look like it should be hitting our particular object. There it goes. And if you want to change that sphere of influence, if you go down here, werewolf variant here, if you double click it, it'll bring it up here. It's got a box collider on it. If I edit the box collider, I could change this to affect more of my shape. You notice the box collider that came in on it by default was kind of small, wasn't it?
Just a little bit.
Just a little bit. But it depends on how you want to program it. You know, you have total control over this. You can have it affecting different parts of it. Yeah. It gives you everything. Then you do this less than to go back here. Now if I run it, we're going to see it's a little bit more realistic. Maybe. I don't know. That looked like that was pretty close to me, but my eyes aren't that good. I don't know. What do you think?
It's coming in a little choppy, so I can't really tell.
Oh, okay. But anyway, you get the idea. Now, what was real interesting is if I didn't destroy the object at all. I kind of like this. I wasn't going to leave it that way, but I wasn't quite sure. I have no creative side to me, so I wasn't quite sure how you could make a game out of it, except for a bowling game. See how there it's knocking them over? So I could see where you could use this as a bowling game. In a bowling game, you don't want your pins to actually disappear. You want them just to be knocked over. Again, the speed of that is kind of fast for what we're testing with. So let me change that to 0.05. There we go. By the way, you can uncomment a bunch of lines of code up here somewhere. If you highlight them, uncomment the selected lines. Or you could comment them out if you wanted to do some testing. Okay, so live is false. I set my position is equal to this dot transform dot position. That just retrieves. Where am I at? I'm in the bullet. So that retrieves the bullet's current position. I then set the Z back to 15. I don't need to mess with the X and Y because X never changes. It doesn't go side to side. Yeah, it does change. But that's okay. Because when I reset it to the same as the camera, it'll put it back in the middle. Yeah, should. And then I have this dot transform dot position I set equal to position. Okay, now changes we want to make. If it goes too far out, then we want to kill the bullet and bring it back. So basically, this bit of code here where we say live is equal to false, and this I want to put that if it goes too far out. Now that shouldn't be in the collision, so I'm going to copy that. That's in my update, because my update is what's controlling my position on the screen. And I come down here, check to see if bullet is too far out. So I'm going to check to see if bullet position.z, and I probably won't get this right to begin with, is greater than, and let's say 12, 10. It could be greater than 10. It could be less than negative 10. I don't know. And I'll paste in that code. If that's true, I want to kill a bullet. Say, okay, it's no longer alive. I want to reset the position, except for in this case, I'm referring to bullet position. So I'm going to say bullet position is equal to this dot transform position. I'm sitting in the bullet, so that retrieves its current position. I reset the Z back to 15. And I don't need to have this set because I'm setting it down here.
So I can already see an error there.
Oh, you can what?
Bullet position dot Z greater than 10. You're putting it at 15.
Ah. I'm not very good at those negatives and positives. That must mean, yeah, because you're right, because I'm decreasing. It going away from us is becoming smaller, isn't it?
Yep.
So yeah, that wouldn't have been good. That would have done weird things. Let me attach that to Unity. You know, if I had to change anything about Unity, and maybe it's there and I just don't know it, but I'd change it so it was better for the sign challenged individual, such that whenever you showed your screen here, you could see like a scale over on the side what the negatives and positives are. But okay, so let's run that. Fire my bullet. Well, it stopped, so it's no longer alive, but it didn't reset it to where I wanted it. So where in the world is my camera? My camera is at Z is 10. This should have thrown it back behind me.
You're calling it pause instead of bullet pause, perhaps?
Where at?
Pause.z equals 15 instead of bullet pause.z.
Ah. There we go. Good eye. If time allows today, I want to show you the debugging feature of this. That would have caught that, but okay. So now I'll do my fire, and that it's going out so far, maybe not far enough, but we could adjust that if we wanted to. It's going out so far, and that's handled. But I still got the problem where I can press my space bar over and over, and it restarts it. Once I press the space bar, I don't want it to be able to press the space bar again until it's gone too far or it's hit somebody. Well, that's putting more conditions on this, I think. Let me see. I'm in the bullet. I'm doing the update. Okay. Here I'm checking the space and alive equals, I think, false. So if I probably want 2 equals there. So if alive is true, that means I fired a bullet. I don't want to be able to push the space bar again. So the 2 ampersands here, indicates both of these had to be true. So let's go ahead and attach that to Unity. And let's see if that fixes that problem. Yeah, it does fix that problem. Well, yeah, it does. I see double a lot because of my eyes. So I'm assuming that looked okay. That look okay from your side?
Yeah.
Okay. Eye doctor is fascinated by my eyes because they look at 2 different areas, and he can't figure out why I don't walk around all day long seeing double. A lot of times I do, but my brain somehow adjusts. Wonderful design. Okay. See if I need to worry about live anywhere else. Live is false there, so that handles that. Live is true. Bullet. Oh, here's one. Check to see if bullet's too far out. I probably don't need a check here because it wouldn't be that far out unless the bullet was already alive. But if I wanted to double check, I only want to check that when alive is true. I've had this where I've had like conditions like this, and I didn't put a condition on it where I'm checking to see if it's live is true, and I'll have something into here saying this should never happen, and then I've had users call me up in the past saying, yeah, your program's saying this should never happen. So it doesn't hurt to actually put a condition on here checking that. Now down here, let's think about alive. This is going out and getting all my objects. I'm checking the collision. Live should not matter at this point because you shouldn't be doing the collision unless it's alive. Unless my aliens keep coming closer and closer to me, and they get too far and touch my bullet that's behind the camera. In which case, it would cause a collision and it would kill the werewolf, which is not what we want. So we really don't have anything here to end the game type of deal. Different ways you could handle that. And I may have to Google this part to remember how to do it. But let's say we want to load a new scene. I'm trying to think where my scenes is located at. And I'll create a scene. Let's have to do a file new. There it is. Create scene. And I'll call that end game. I'll double click it. And save what I have there. And game object. I guess I'll drop a plane, I guess, on there. Make it bigger. I think I got a material block I can drop on there. And I don't think I can do this with Unity. Let me come over to Blender. Hopefully it comes over as an object. If not, I'll have to figure out how to change it to an object. Delete that. I'll do an add. And there's that text here. And I'll go into edit. Game over. Go back to object. I want to rotate it. About what? Red. What's red? Red is X? RX? No. Yeah. I'll do an N. And that was 79.7 degrees. We change that to 90 degrees. Now I'll rotate it about the blue, which is Z. And then I'll move it a little bit. Now here's the part I really don't remember. Is got this right here. There's a way to make it look 3D. Blender text 3D look. How do you make 3D text in Blender? Remove the default cube, space, add text, tab. When finished editing, go back to convert your text to a mesh. It's not what I'm wanting. Let's see.
Trying to do like bubble text or something?
Make it thick. Kind of so it's got 3 dimensions. Because the way this is now, see, it doesn't have any dimension there. So its thickness is
I'm pretty sure they're currently considered faces. So if you were to extrude them,
I bet that would. If I select all of them, we'll be up in edit. So if you can't do A over here, how would you do that? You see, let me do an E here. No. Maybe if I change them to a mesh and then extrude them, I bet that would work. Okay, let's change it to mesh. I guess it's Alt C. I needed to go there anyway. I couldn't remember that. Alt C, and I'm changing from a mesh from a text. So I'm converting it to a mesh. Again, doesn't have any kind of dimension there, but I'm now a mesh. That's interesting. I'm doing A, E for extrude. I want to bring it along. Me do an enter.
you want to go along the x-axis like that.
Yeah. Okay, that looks good, doesn't it? In terms of thickness. Okay, so let me save that. Then game over. Desktop. Then over in Unity. If I can find Unity. Okay, there we go. I'm going to bring that in. Right click on this and import new asset. And desktop. Game over. And rotate it. Assuming that's what's looking game-wise. It's sad that I teach trig and I'm sitting here struggling with angles. That'll work. And then my position, I want to bring it toward me. And again, if I had some kind of scale here so I know what in the world direction I'm even facing, that would be positive Z, negative Z. Assuming, yeah, that's X. Okay, then X, I want, okay, that's not bad. So I'll save that. Now I'll go back to my other scene. Source scenes. Here we go. Sample scene. And one way or the other, if I kill all the aliens, game should be over. So let me go back to my code. And this is the part I really need to look up is how to load a scene. I can guess. Let's see. On collision enter. down below this, if I hate the dynamic nature of this. This is not good coding, but I'm gonna go ahead and do it anyway. I'm gonna go out and get the objects again, because that's easy. I shouldn't have to do that, but I'm have a hard time wrap my mind around it. I've just destroyed objects here. If I've destroyed them all and I go out and get it again, the length should be 0. So if I check if all gs.length is equal to 0, then that means all my aliens are gone. Check to see if all aliens are gone. And if it's gone, then I want to load a new scene. Seeing an URL loader, destroy, removes a game component. Okay. How about load, instantiate? Clones original and returns a clone. Okay, let me Google it. Find a bit of code. Unity loading scene. Scene management. They really do got good documentation here. Assuming it works. Only specifying the scene name or scene build index will load the scene with a single mode. Okay, so that should work. But I have to using Unity Engine Scene Management. Which I didn't have up here. Using Unity Engine. Scene management. Scene manager dot load scene, and I called it int. Oh, that's one way you can refer to it. I called it in-game. Now we'll see if I need to unload the other one.
That's not a D.
The what?
That's a G after the N. You misspelled it.
That wouldn't work, would it?
Probably not.
Now the question is if I need to unload the other one. They really don't give any kind of indication on that.
Shouldn't it swap to the new one as active and automatically have this original one be inactive?
That's what it'll set it up as. I'm hoping inactive means it will not keep running the code on it. But we'll see. I don't remember destroying the scene when I did this last semester. but my memory is not that great. That's why I have to use Google quite a bit. Didn't load it, did it?
Nope.
Now I'm going to click over here and put something called a breakpoint in. Now you see there's a debug option here. And you see there's a start debugging, but specifically there's attached Unity debugger. If you click that, you can click the instance that's running. Suppose if you have a real powerful machine, you can have multiple Unity instances running. And I click OK. Okay, so now I just attached that. Now if I come back here and run my game, there I just kicked out, and I'm at this breakpoint right here. And check to see if all the aliens are gone. So I'm going to go here, and what you can do is you do a debug, and you see a bunch of different options in here. Specifically, the one I think is the most useful is a step into. I never really use these other ones, but if I do a step into the F11, and you'll notice here, it's right here also, little down arrow pointing to there. It'll run that line of code and go to the next one. Now, a neat part about this is if you put your mouse over it, you can see what the value is. And see how this says it's 10? So I'm going to, if I keep stepping into, it'll go like that. You can also go ahead and just click the continue here. And back here. I press space bar there. There again, it kicks out. It's at my breakpoint. Now, you can set new breakpoints at any point just by clicking in here. So if you're trying to figure out what's going on with your code, that's a really nice way to debug. And if I click the step into, actually I just want to do a continue because I want to get down to the end. Okay. Continue. Continue. Obviously, you'd want to put your breakpoint in a different place if you had 100 of them. Okay, so the next one should be an important one. Because all my werewolves should be gone. All my aliens. Okay, so now I'm going to step into it. I'll click this button right here, or you can press F11. Gets down here. Doesn't look like it even exists, does it? If I do this arrow next to it, it's equal to 0. Let me do that. I'll continue. Okay, well, the reason why it's not working, it's not even getting to that line of code. So my original idea didn't work. Now over here, if you stop this, it'll kill the debugger. Does that make sense how to use a debugger?
Yeah.
Okay. Invaluable tool to help you figure out what's going on, because you can go through it line by line. You put your mouse over it, tells you the current value of the variable, and so forth. bullet move. Okay, so I'm going to take the breakpoint off. You can click that. You can put multiple ones, by the way. You can put as many as you want. Every good development package, and so you can do this with C# also. C# has the same debugging feature. You have to do a little bit different. Every good package has that feature. Just because from a programming standpoint, nobody's perfect, and you have to figure out what in the world have you done wrong. Well, maybe I can get around that. Sometimes when there's no values, it's actually equal to -1. So maybe less than or equal to. I'm going to try that. I don't think that'll work because I don't think it even exists because it's not finding anything. And I'm not sure how to check the existence of all GS. So we may have to approach it differently. I'll click Attach to Unity. Okay. Now let me run it. I was going to have to show you the debugger today, but I thought it was going to be in a different bit of code because I had trouble getting my left arrow and right arrow to move my actual camera position, which is strange. Didn't work, did it? Now, of course, I could put a breakpoint here to see if it actually ran it, but I'm pretty sure that's all we need code-wise. So,
could it be detecting the bullet?
Let me think about what you said. Detecting it in what way?
Detecting it as in, do you just have the aliens detected when you're looking for all GS?
I just have it in the bullet and just on collision. But I think I know a way of checking that. Because at this point, what should my length be?
Nothing.
Nothing. So right here, remember how we were monitoring that when we ran it? And the length went down to 0? So I shouldn't have to go out and get new instances of it. I should be able to do that check right here. Actually, I should be able to do it right here. Let's see if that works. Ah. There. Part of when you're debugging, if you have those set up correctly, maybe you don't want as many aliens on the screen. Notice over here, my all GS is now down to size of 1. There it went down to 0, but it didn't run that, did it?
Your size went down to 0, yes, but I don't think your length went down to 0.
Oh, it does say size, doesn't it? Good eye. So here, let's see if size is a property I can check, or if it's a method I have to call. Dot size. No. I hate to do it in here. But at this point, if Ix is equal to 0 and I'm destroying the this is going to be sloppy coding. Boolean last alien equals false. And if all gs.length is equal to 1, yeah, equal to 1, that means I'm on my last alien. So if last alien is equal to true, then we're going to load scene. So it comes in here. If I go out and get my objects, there's a collision. So I know it's hit an alien. Okay, so I'm going out and getting that. I don't know it's actually hit an alien, but it could collide with other items. That introduces some different logic. But anyway, this is going out here, checking to see if the length is 1, means there's one alien left. If there isn't, I set it to true. Now I'm going to instead do a debug attach Unity debugger. And choose this and click OK. So come back here, let me run this. Now that's got me really, really bested.
Maybe if you use the less than, it may work.
Maybe. Yeah, because maybe it's 0. So yeah, if I use less than or equal to, I'm put a debugger right here, or a breakpoint right here too. Let's see, attach Unity debugger. Click that, click OK. Yeah, did I click it? Maybe I didn't. There. Okay, so I'm
Wait, I thought we decided length wasn't what we were trying to measure.
Well, it's one we can use. Like, but if I put my mouse over this, you see how it says the length is 4? So how come 4 is less than or equal to 1?
when you hit the 1, it may have dropped them all down to 0, and then the next frame, it went back up to 4.
See, even if it went down to 4, when I put my, what's this? I put my mouse over here, it shows the last value of that. So it was comparing all gs.length as 4 if it's less than or equal to 1. That is bizarre.
Well, when you moused over it, it said it was false.
Yeah, but it shouldn't even got down to this breakpoint at that. Like, it checks this, and only if this is true will it actually do this. So it should have never got to this line of code.
I have no idea then.
That is really bizarre. I'm going to just temporarily have a variable temp. And I'm going to say temp is equal to all gs.length. Okay. So let me attach the debugger again. It could be because I hit the space bar. Because when I hit the space bar the first time, I should have let it. I shouldn't have kept hitting the space bar. So I will just hit it one time this time. Okay. Okay, so I'm down here. This line of code hasn't run yet, so I put my mouse over it. See, it's not equal to anything. Put my mouse over here, it says it's 4. So now if I do the step into, it'll go to the next line of code. I put my mouse over temp. That's weird. It doesn't show me temp. Temp is equal to all gs.length. So I assign it outside of this. And then I'm going to check if temp is less than or equal to 1. Debug, attach Unity debugger. Some days I like programming, and some days I just get weird errors, and it takes me forever to figure them out. Okay, so I'm down to here. Well, the debugger usually shows you the value. See how I put my mouse over alive and it says true? If I put over position, it says 000. But I put it over temp and it doesn't actually show me anything. I bet you're right. I bet I can't query it like that. Except for I query it down here. I don't know. We'll continue this. Actually, in the next class, I'll go through and explain what code I've added in, and we'll figure this out. This got me bested. But I'll go ahead and stop the recording there.